Well, I was
right?
doing the stream with Rob Stats Guerrero this morning, and he very
Okay.
casually, matter of factly, said that, well, Brock Purdy's playing better than Patrick Mahomes this year. And I let him finish, and I was like, well, he's not playing better than Patrick Mahomes this year. And he's like, what are you talking about? Yes, he is. So I didn't even occur to me that it was an argument that someone could make. But clearly, Mahomes' numbers are down this year for a lot of reasons. But hey, Purdy's missing Christian McCaffrey. Is Brock Purdy playing better than Patrick Mahomes?
I think overall statistically, yeah. I mean, he's got more yards. Their completion percentage is almost identical. His passer rating's higher. They've got the same amount of touchdowns. Mahomes has one more turnover. Here's why I'm going to give the edge to Mahomes, though. It's about being timely, and I do not believe that wins are a quarterback stat. However, games are always close in the NFL for the most part. I mean, you're going to get blowouts here and there, but most of the time games are close. And when it's crunch time, are you winning, helping your team win, or are you a hindrance? Let's look at first half and second half stats. So we'll go first half. Patrick Mahomes in the first half has 3 touchdowns and 4 turnovers. He's completing 66% with a passer rating of 77. Not very good at all. But in the second half, he's been a completely different quarterback. He's got 3 touchdowns to 1 turnover, completing 72% of his passes, a rating of 108, so it jumps up 31 points, and he has 2 game-winning drives. Brock Purdy, on the other side, is doing very well in the first half, and he's not doing bad in the second half, but not near as good. So his first half stats, he's got 4 touchdowns to 1 turnover, 65% completion, a 111 passer rating. In the second half, though, he only has 1 touchdown and 3 turnovers, completing 73%, so good completion percentage, and his rating is 98. So just because of the timeliness of Patrick Mahomes and what he's working with, I'll have to give the edge to Patrick Mahomes. But I definitely think overall, statistically, you can make an argument for Purdy. But those second half stats are, I mean, 1 touchdown to 3 turnovers. I can't say that guy's playing better when some of those games have been close and they really could have used more touchdowns and less turnovers to win those games for the 49ers.
I mean, what's kind of interesting about this like argument all of a sudden is that like because Purdy has better numbers, quote unquote, than Mahomes, he's better. Like he had better numbers than Mahomes last year.
Mhm.
He led the league in quarterback rating last year. And
Mhm.
I mean, like most people would argue that like the top 10 list of people in quarterback rating aren't necessarily the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Like the number 1 quarterback rating right now is Sam Darnold, 118. Then it's Josh Allen. Then it's Jaden Daniels. Then it's Baker Mayfield. Then it's Joe Flacco. Then it's Joe Burrow. Then it's Brock Purdy. Then it's Kyler Murray. So if you want to go just by stats, Brock Purdy is clearly better than Mahomes, who's the 18th best quarterback in the league right now, but he's not as good as Joe Flacco and Jaden Daniels and Baker Mayfield. So I think a little bit more context is necessary. And we're talking about Mahomes, like I think weapons matter here. Like I think everyone's impressed with Brock because he's playing without McCaffrey. Wow, what struggle! But he still has all these great players. He still has like one of the best running backs in the league, 3 of the best wide receivers, the best tight end. I mean, come on, it's not exactly like impoverished over there. But then you look at Patrick Mahomes, Rashee Rice, hell of a player, he went down. Xavier Worthy, hell of a player, rookie. Travis Kelce, I don't know. Maybe he's sandbagging it again this year, but he looks old as hell. We'll
Yeah.
have to see about that. I feel like we're finally seeing Mahomes without weapons, and I think even Joe Montana would have struggled without weapons. Like you do need someone to throw the ball to eventually. There's only so much scrambling around you can do.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, two years ago, Juju Smith-Schuster was his number 1 wide receiver. They won a Super Bowl with him, and
Well, Kelce
he
was the
was
number 1 wide receiver.
well, right. But I'm saying
Yeah,
just receiver, right? Like
true.
not tight end, but number
Yeah,
1 receiver was
yeah.
Juju. Juju was cut from the Patriots, right? Like outright cut from the Patriots. Couldn't even make their roster. They picked him up as insurance, and now they're going to have to use him again. Last year, their number 1 receiver was Rashee Rice, who was a rookie, but they had Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and they went and picked up who was his name? He used to be their receiver, McCole Hardman. Went and
Yeah, that
picked him
guy.
up from the
Yep.
Jets that got cut again.
Kadarius
So
Toney.
you're talking about guys
They
that are
still
getting
have
cut
Juju
from bad
Smith-Schuster, by the way.
teams. They went and got him again. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
went and got
did.
him again.
That's how
So
desperate they are.
it's not good over there. But they've got 2 Super Bowl rings with this hodgepodge of players. I mean, so you can't deny it. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is doing his thing.
And they're
And
still 4-0.
that's the other thing. He just finds a way to win the games.
Yeah.
But again, second half stats matter for him because no, he's not playing great in the first half. Kyler Murray is another one. I think you're going to bring him up. You know, like how is he compared to Purdy? Statistically, again, him and Purdy are very even. But I would give the edge to Purdy because if you look at Kyler, almost all of his stats are coming in the first half and really the first quarter. He's got like a 150 passer rating in the first quarter. In the first half, Kyler has 6 touchdowns to 1 turnover. But in the second half, he has 0 touchdowns on the whole season. It's like, okay, well, when you're in a tight game and you can't even score or lead a scoring drive or not turn the ball over, that matters. And Patrick Mahomes is playing really good football when it matters most. So those things are very important.
Patrick Mahomes this season has 2 game-winning drives and 18 in his career in the regular season. Brock Purdy this season has 0 game-winning drives, and he has 1 in his career, and it was against the Raiders as a rookie. So, again, like, hell of a player, but he could have led a game-winning drive against the Rams a couple of weeks ago. He made the throw to Ronnie Bell. Bell should have caught it. He had other opportunities. He had Brandon Ayuk wide open. He saw him. He stared at him. He thought about it. He weighed the pros and cons. He said, he loves me not. He wrote a poem about it. He went home, called his dad, said, should I throw to Brandon Ayuk? Dad was like, yeah, I would absolutely recommend it. Called his lawyer. Lawyer was like, as your attorney, I recommend throwing to Brock Purdy. Didn't do it. So I said, Brandon Ayuk, damn, I messed up the bit. Anyway, I still think Brock has to prove that. Like the best quarterbacks, if they're making hella money, you can put him on a mid-team, give him a 10-point deficit, and he'll bring him back. We've seen Mahomes do it any number of times. We've seen Stafford do it any number of times. We haven't seen Purdy do that yet. Doesn't mean he can't.
Here's the problem with statistics is they will lie to you all the time. They'll tell you whatever you want to see.
They tell me the truth. I have
they
a deal
do tell you the truth.
statistics.
Yeah. Well, you're dating statistics. But I'll give you an example. Stafford. Statistically, the game that they played against the 49ers didn't really hold a candle to Brock Purdy, right? The difference was this. When he needed to complete a 45-yard pass, he did it. And there was also a 40-plus yard pass that he threw that wasn't caught, but it was pass interference. So he doesn't get those yards, but that got them a touchdown. I think they got a touchdown on that drive. If he doesn't take that risk and throw the ball, they don't get the penalty and they don't score on that drive. So those things also are not going to show up in a stat sheet. When you're throwing for your yards, when you're throwing your touchdowns, all those things matter. What does it look like? How open are players? Like there's so many little nuances that you can't just go off statistics. Now, I think statistics are great if you're like actually watching these players and then you go to the statistics, you're like, oh, I thought I saw this, but now I'm confirming it with statistics. Okay. But just raw statistics can be very deceiving at times. They really can.
True. I know we brought him up a little bit, but I want to ask you, who's playing better, Brock Purdy or Kyler Murray? And the reason I ask, Brock Purdy's quarterback rating 104.9, Kyler's 104.6. I know he has a first half, second half split thing, but it's just remarkable. Their numbers are neck and neck. One guy, like Brock's is completing 68.9% of his throws. Kyler's completing 69.4. Now, no one's pushing it down the field better than Brock right now, but Kyler Murray's also averaging 10.5 yards per rush. So I think you'd often say that Brock has the better supporting cast, although Kyler's isn't bad.
Yeah, I think again, I think timeliness does matter. And the fact that Kyler has 0 touchdowns in the second half all season, that's kind of damning. It is.
It's not good. If you took Kyler off the Cardinals and put Brock on the Cardinals, would they be better than 1-3? And if you took Brock off the Niners and put Kyler on the Niners, would they be better than 2-2 or worse or the same?
I mean, I honestly think both the teams would probably be the same, but I do think like long term, if we're just gonna like average this out, I don't know that the Cardinals would be better with Brock than Kyler. Like I think that might stay the same. But I actually do think the 49ers with Brock would be better than they would with Kyler, just because it's the style of play. Style of play matters. And Brock Purdy, plays within the structure of the offense much better than Kyler ever would. Now, Kyler is a phenomenal athlete. He's just such a bonehead sometimes. You don't know what you're going to get from him. And just playing within the structure of the offense, I think Brock Purdy is going to do that on a more regular basis and stay on schedule. So I think long term, the 49ers would be better with Brock, but I don't know that Arizona would be better with Brock.
It was interesting listening to Kyle talk about Kyler today because his whole thing was like, he's one of the most dangerous players in the league. But in the past, on the other team, he was pretty much going off schedule all the time. And it seemed like from Kyle's perspective, he was putting that on Kingsbury, although Kingsbury's doing such a good job in Washington. We'll see if he can keep it up. But from what Kyle said is like now that they have like a more traditional offensive coordinator, he comes from Cleveland, who is the Kubiak tree, which is essentially the Shanahan tree. He said like you see him operating the offense the way it's supposed to be operated, and he just was like surprised or impressed or proud. I don't know. It just seemed like he was very taken. But I mean, you're supposed to praise the opposing quarterback anyway.
Yeah, but you know
there's
who
like
doesn't?
like code, right? There's like, oh, and then there's like the real praise and the fake praise. It felt like real praise to me.
What does Nick Bosa say? Because that's really what
You
matters.
gotta make
And
him
Nick
play
Bosa
quarterback.
praised him.
And what to me is what he's saying, like, no, he's playing quarterback, and I'm impressed. Not like he's dangerous, but if we force it, like that's what they say with Jalen Hurts, right? Just keep him in the pocket.
Yeah. No, Nick Bosa is very honest. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks of opposing quarterbacks. And the way he talked about Kyler Murray was pretty glowing. He's like, before you really had to worry about him running all the time. You still have to worry about him running, but he's playing within the offense and he's going through his reads a lot more. So he's playing the position at a much higher level than what he has in the past.
I got a stat for you. Kyler has played 6 games, I think, against the Niners. I believe that's true.
Okay.
It's 2-4. And in those games, Nick Bosa has sacked him a grand total of 2 times.
0. Oh,
2 times.
Okay.
He's done it, but it's not easy. Not easy.
He's squirrely, man. He's he's a squirrely fella.
Quick.
Yeah.
He might be quicker than Lamar. Now, Lamar's bigger and can like take a little bit more contact, and you can run him around the goal line. They don't really run Kyler Murray around the goal line, but just straight up scrambling. I don't know that I've ever seen someone as dangerous as him. Maybe I don't know, man. He's just so he doesn't want to get touched. He's like the Tyler Lockett of quarterbacks, but damn, he's quick.
He physically, like obviously not his stature, but just what he brings to the table has an argument to be top 3 in the league. Like if you're just taking athletic ability, he's top 2, top 3, but he's just so, I don't know. There's just something missing with him, man. There's just something missing.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like we felt that with Sam Darnold. We felt that with Baker Mayfield. And sometimes a quarterback can sort of figure it out in their late 20s. Doesn't mean Kyler will. But I for sure wrote off both Darnold and Baker Mayfield. And this year I'm like, oh, they're functional. Actually, they could be good in the right situation. So I'm interested with Kyler. But once again, he's 1-3. And every year they're my sleeper team. And every year they're freaking 5-12. Kyler.
Next year.
Yeah, next year's the year.
Next year's their last year because they got $115 million in cap space next year.